All right, so I am gonna get started. Hello, greetings. Good to see everyone. Sorry I was not able to be at the September meeting. Um, my name is Joan Borovoy. I'm the chair of OSARC. I'd like to introduce the other board members. Susan O'Brien is secretary. Hi, Susan. Mark Lewis is acting vice chair. Mark, wave. Okay. Colleen Cox is a consultant to the board. She provides us with her 10 plus years of experience being on the board. Judith, I don't know if I see Judith. Judith Lovell, Judith is a volunteer to the board. Jay Wachowski, Jay is Commo rep. Wave, Jay. Wave. Okay, good. And Rob Spencer and Megan Wolfsey, who work at OSA. Rob is media director. Wolfsey is assistant to Bob Krogan, the head of the union, and they work with us and help us, set up the Zooms and work with us with the meetings. I hope everyone had a good summer, even though despite it was a hot summer. And for anyone who is in Florida or who has family, friends there, I wish you I hope everyone will be safe and will be safe. So Zoom etiquette. Zoom etiquette is Rob and Megan keep everyone muted. If you have a question, please use the raise hand function and we'll call on you. We might not call on you right away because there could be people with their hands raised before your hand was raised. If you're not comfortable using the hand raise function, then put it in your comment or question in the chat and we will try and get to it. So one thing before I introduce our speaker is that we have a question, a little survey, a one-question survey that we would like for you to respond to. Basically, it is asking you if we were to have meetings in the office that would not eliminate Zoom, still having it on Zoom, that would you actually physically come into the office? So Rob, if you could post the question and if you could just answer the question, please.
Sure. I'm going to launch this poll. Hopefully you'll see it. Hopefully everyone should see it now.
Yes.
So you make a choice, and the choice is either yes or no. And
right.
I'll let it go for about a minute to give you time to do that. And then I will end the poll and I will, say what happened.
Yeah, why don't we do that? And let's do that later on, after Greg's.
Well, it's quick. I mean, it'll be,
Okay, that's fine. I didn't realize it was going to be quick.
Unless people neglect to answer, in which case I can't come there and make them.
Everyone, please answer. We really need to get an idea of what you're comfortable doing. Because that will help us, do some planning, future planning.
Okay, so about 75%, 78%. We're getting there.
Good. Wonderful.
It would be nice if we had 100%.
No, we're doing okay there. That's pretty good.
I'm just trying to encourage.
Right. We have 70 participants, so.
I'm a yes. This Barbara Schwartz says yes.
Oh, okay.
You're on the phone. We'll add you to the total.
Oh,
of course.
I apologize.
I'm gonna unmute.
Right, for people who are on the phone, right now I just see 2 people on the phone. If you could just yell in your answer. Oh, do they see it?
They can't see it. Oh,
I saw it.
Well, yeah, but if someone's just dialing in by phone, I don't think they actually will see it. I'm going to end this now because nothing's changing. What you got is 81% participated, 54 out of 66 people participated. 20 said yes, that's 37%, and then add Barbara, who said yes as well, so that'd be 21. And we had 34 who said no. So the no's slightly exceed the yeses.
Okay,
Add my no, please. I'm on a phone. I can't see, I don't see the
Right.
poll.
okay, thank you. Do me a favor, because I'm not gonna remember, I don't even remember anymore what you just said. So if you could just, yeah, I see you put it on the screen, but, okay, let me write this down quickly, 37%, yes, 63%, no.
I wrote it, Joan.
Oh, thanks, thank you,
And don't
Susan.
forget to add one more, Susan, so that each of those that sort of balance each other out.
Okay, I'm sorry,
Okay.
Eileen, you have your hand raised?
Yes, I put it in the chat, but I'm a maybe. I'm just not sure.
Okay.
Well, it would be nice. I'm not sure, but so there's no option for maybe. And somebody else, so
Oh, yeah, but maybe we should have had a yeah, maybe we
Yeah.
should have had a maybe. No, thank you. Totally
Jo-
understand it.
Not
It's,
sure how to put up my hand.
Joan, for clarification, this stands to say that we can have a meeting in the office, but hybrid meeting will also have a Zoom link, correct?
yeah, that's what yeah.
There are two options, Joan. One is to actually just, as you know, we discussed that. That's not the only approach that was being discussed.
Okay,
We
there's,
also,
The hope
Wow.
would be is that would be to have it hybrid. Yes. Yes,
Okay.
because we don't want to leave out the people who either live a little too far away or just are not comfortable coming into the office. But we also have other things we might consider. So this is just this certainly guys would not be something we would be doing every month in terms of whether it be a hybrid. It's just to open the door, since it's been around 4 years now, since the pandemic, that to open the door to possibly having people who are interested coming into the office. And again, obviously there are still a lot of, for me, even, I have a 97-year-old mother, so, I'm very, very careful. And people now are not as comfortable riding on the train. So there's various factors for people not wanting to come into the office. Colleen, you have your finger?
Yes, yes. There was one lady who joined the retirees group the same day I did, and just happened that she called me the other day to say hi. Her name is Brenda Stout, and she worked for Health and Hospitals, I think, Rob. And she said she's just not, comfortable with Zoom and the computers. So she would love to come in the office if ever we started that again. So I just wanted to give a voice to her
Oh,
comment.
no, thank you. I think there
Okay.
might even be, I think you even know of a few people, Colleen, that were part of the mailing group that have not participated in the last 4 years because they're just not comfortable.
And
online.
I know Sally. Sally
Right.
said she would love to come in the
Right.
office. Sally
Okay.
Stroman.
Okay, great. All right, thank you, everyone. Very much appreciate that. All right, I guess we are very, very fortunate today to have Gregory Pavlides. Did I do that okay, Greg?
It was close enough. Pavlides.
Pavlides, okay. An assistant district attorney and bureau chief of the Frauds Bureau, Kings County District Attorney's Office, since 2019. Greg is in charge of 25 assistant district attorneys in a bureau that handles investigations and prosecutions of white-collar crimes, including, not limited to, elder fraud, identity theft, credit card fraud, mortgage and deed fraud, embezzlement, the list goes on, sadly, money laundering, check fraud, government fraud, and worker protection. Greg has a long, history of working either with the district attorney offices in Brooklyn and Queens, etc. So I am gonna, without further ado, I'm gonna introduce Greg. I would ask that you hold your questions to the end. When he's done with his presentation, then we'll ask, do a Q&A. Greg?
Thank you very much. Now let's see if my screen share actually works. Are we good?
Yep.
You're good.
Very good. So thank you, first of all, thank you so much for having me today. I always enjoy doing these presentations because I think the information is important to put out there. I will say professionally, I've been a prosecutor now for 35 years. In that 35 years, 20 of it, or actually now over 20 of it, has been doing senior fraud, elder fraud, whichever is preferred, as well as other white collar crimes. So I've been doing that for a long time, and I take it very seriously. But I also take it seriously not on a professional level. First of all, personally, I am soon to be a senior, less than a year away. So it affects me personally that way. But also, both my mother and my late father were targeted. My former deputy chief's mother was targeted. A number of people I work with here's parents have been targeted. I know many other people, friends of the family, who also have been targeted, and some successfully targeted. And what I want to say about that, which is really, really important, is these are all really smart people and native New Yorkers, not just book smart, street smart people. And nonetheless, they often were taken advantage of. And the reason for that is no defect of the person, no mistake that they made. The people who are doing these crimes, this is what they do every day. They're professionals. Just as each of you took pride in your work and put a lot of effort into it, these bad guys are out there, and this is what they do every day. And they learn from their mistakes, and they get better and better and better. So if you know anyone who's been a victim of one of these scams or other scams, because I don't think we have enough time in the week to go through each and every scam, tell them, please do not be embarrassed to report it. Do not be ashamed by it. It is something, as I'll go through it, that you'll see is well engineered. So encourage them to come forward. There is no shame in falling prey to the people who do this. So some of the topics I'm going to cover are recent trends we've seen in phone scams. And I'm sure some of you have heard of some of these. There's the grandparent scam, which I will get into in a little more detail. The IRS or other government scams, which I will tell you the phone call my mother got regarding that. The internet scams would include a Microsoft scam, which my father my late father not only was targeted, but actually lost money because of, and unsolicited emails or phishing, which is very, very common. I will be discussing other things too, but I'm going to start with these main topics. So with phone scams, the grandparent scam works like this. And before I get into how the scam works, and let me put all of it up there, I want to explain how they target people. If I was in a room with all of you to raise your hand, I'd ask how many of you are on social media. And I would probably see quite a few hands go up. And then when I said, how many of your children or grandchildren are on social media, every hand would go up in the room. And this is the first place that the criminals start before they do these scams. So using my own family, when my nephew Matthew posts on Facebook that he is going to Puerto Rico on vacation for a week, and my mother, his grandmother, says, "Oh, have a wonderful time, enjoy." The bad guys already know the relation between the two. They already know the names of both of them, and they already know where Matthew is going. Very easy to find someone's phone number. There are websites that you could just Google it. In fact, if you put my name into a website of Spokio, which is one of many out there, you will find out not only my address, my phone number, you will find out my wife's name, my child's name, my parents' name. So once they have the information they need, they start their scam. And the first thing they'll do is they will call their target. and they will not just call from a random phone number. Actually, I should rephrase that. They are calling from a random phone number, but they're using an app that allows them to put any number they want to appear in that as a receiving number. So my mother's phone would ring and it would say Puerto Rican Police Department or a hospital in Puerto Rico, a particular hospital. So it looks like it's a legitimate call coming to you. The first thing they will tell you is that they're one of two things. It's usually either your grandson Matthew has been arrested. He didn't really do anything wrong. He was with a bunch of bad kids. They had drugs in the car, but you got to act quickly, because if you don't act quickly, the judge is getting off the bench and he'll be in for like weeks before the judge, because he's on vacation. You know, we're a small island here. We don't have a lot of judges. So you really have to act quickly. If it's someone or they'll tell you, I think it's even worse. Your grandkid was injured in an accident and the hospital needs a payment of money before they can render service. And it's really, really important. Interestingly, most recently, we have noticed a trend of the use of artificial intelligence. I am sure your grandkids have videos on whether it's TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, or any other social media. Once they have a video with sound, they can now replicate the voice of the grandkid. So you get a call, it looks like it's from a hospital or a bail bondsman or a court. You're hearing the voice of your grandkid in the background. This looks so real. What is usually the giveaway, and what should be the giveaway, and it not always is we need money immediately. So please go out and buy gift cards and give us the codes to the gift cards, or Western Union the money. Kind of unusual for a bad guy, for a legitimate bail bondsman or a hospital to be requesting gift cards. But people get so panicked by this, and rightfully so, because it's an incredibly stressful situation if you're believing it's real, that they react, and they react quickly. So that tends to be the way that scam works. And you'll notice a common thread going through all of this, which is that they want you to act quickly and they want you to send money in a kind of unusual manner. Getting into the IRS scam, this was the one my mother got a phone call, and I remember this very well because I was at work and my phone rang in middle of the day, and it's my mother, and I answer my phone and she's like, "Oh my God, Greg, you have to help me. You have to help me. The IRS has a warrant out for my arrest because I didn't pay my taxes properly, and they need me to immediately get gift cards and send them the $10,000 I owe them, or they're arresting me. What should I do?" And my mother, knowing my sense of humor, when I said, "Mom, the best thing to go is go peacefully with them. We will come visit you in jail. Don't worry about it." She immediately stopped and said, "This is a scam, isn't it?" And I said, "It is, Mom, but let's step back. Let's dissect this. Have you ever tried calling the IRS, Mom? You can never get through. What makes you think they're going to call you? Plus, if you committed a crime and they're coming to arrest you, do you think they'd call to give you the warning that they're going to arrest you? And most importantly, does the IRS take gift cards now, or does that seem a little unusual to you?" And I shouldn't have done that, because my mom felt kind of stupid, and she wasn't. The person on the other end of the phone was good. It showed up on her call detail as the IRS calling a specific agent. He gave a badge number. He was rehearsed and perfect. And yeah, she didn't fall for it, because fortunately she called me. But you see, they had her panicked. And once you have someone panicked, if they react quickly without thinking, their money is gone. So again, my mother did nothing wrong. I don't look at my mother and saying, "How could you have fallen for that?" It's obvious. They're good at what they do. I will also tell you there are many other government scams, and I could probably spend the rest of the day talking about them. I got a call personally that my Social Security number had been suspended. I obviously, doing what I do, I knew it was a scam immediately. And my response was my typical response, which was to be a wise guy. And I said, "Oh, really? Thank you so much." And there was like confusion on the other end. He's like, "No, you don't understand. Your social security number is suspended." And by the way, my phone said Social Security Administration as if they were calling me. And I said, no, I understand. My social security number is suspended. This is the best news I've had. And they're still confused. And I said, well, if I don't have a social security number now, I don't have to pay taxes anymore. So thank you. Have a wonderful day. They did not call me back. I think they moved on to the next person. But listen, if you're collecting Social Security and they tell you your social security number has been suspended and it's on your phone that it's Social Security Administration calling you, it could be very, very frightening, and you may act quickly. What they may do is they may not say, send us gift cards. They may say, you know, we need to verify who we're talking to. So I just want to confirm your name and please give us your social security number so we know it's you and what's your date of birth. And now they've basically gotten your identity and can go to town. Occasionally, they will also ask for payment. There's a small banking fee, so we can process payment. But generally, this particular scam, they're looking to steal your identity. They're looking for information. And again, think of it this way. Have you ever tried to get in touch with the government? It's difficult. I work for the government. We're a little easier because we're local, but see how long you're on hold calling Social Security, trying to get some information, and think, are they going to be calling me? And they're not. So be aware of that. So what do you need to do if you get a grandparent scam? The most important thing for any of these scams is stop, step back, relax, take a few deep breaths. Do not act immediately. Call your grandkid. Simple. Just pick. I don't know anyone over the age of 12 now that doesn't have a cell phone on them. Maybe 13 or 14, but nonetheless, just give them a call. They'll probably pick up. If not, call your kids and say, hey, have you heard from, in my case, Matthew? Oh yeah, just spoke to him. He's fine. Don't panic. Don't trust your caller ID. I know that sounds ludicrous. And I had legislators who wanted to pass a bill not allowing spoofed numbers. And I recommended against it because it can be used for good. And I will give you just one example I can think of, which is if I was a defense attorney, which I will never be, but if I were a defense attorney and I had some dangerous criminal that I'm representing and I needed to call them from home, but I didn't want them to have my home number, I could use one of those apps to put in my office number so they know who is calling them and they now don't have my home number. So again, the spoofing of numbers is easy to do. Also, if you're bored, great way to play a practical joke. Call from the White House. They'll think you're getting a call from Biden or Kamala. Go for it. You can put in the White House number, and that's what will show up. But don't panic on these. Just take that deep breath. Be suspicious when asking for payments. Again, I don't know any government agency that's going to want gift cards. I don't know any hospitals that's going to want gift cards. So once you hear something like that, that should set off alarm bells. And never give out any personal information on a phone on a call that you did not originate to a trusted number. And I will show you what I mean by trusted number when I get into the computer scams, but never give out personal information on the phone. If you have any doubt about who you're talking to, hang up, look up their number on Google, and call back. If you think you're talking to Chase Bank, but you're not sure, say, I will give your 1-800 number a call, and just hang up and call that 1-800 number, not the 1-800 number that's on your spoofed phone, and not the 1-800 number that the bad guy may give you, but look it up separately. So the Microsoft scam, this happened to my dad. It is he was at the computer. He got a pop-up message that his computer was now infected with a virus, and please call Microsoft, and it listed a number from Microsoft. Of course, when you call that number, someone's going to answer the phone because they're part of the scam saying, Microsoft, may I help you? Oh, I have a virus on my computer. Oh, yes, I see that. Let me just get some information from you so I can help you with it. And what they did with my dad is they gave him the greatest deal in the world after they got his name and all his information, his date of birth and all of that to verify that they were dealing with a real person. They said for very, very little amount of money, $20, they can fix his computer for him remotely. And all he needed to do was first give him his bank account information so that they can debit the $20. And then they're going to send a link to his computer that will allow them access to the computer so that they can fix the problem. Well, the problem with giving someone access to your computer, sorry, yes, I go too far, is once they have access remotely to your computer, they can basically download your entire hard drive. Any information you have on that hard drive, they now have. So what do you have on your hard drive? Well, you probably have stored passwords for all your banking information if you bank online. You probably have social security number somewhere on there. You have a ton of information. This is what they want more so. But what they did with my dad was he checked his bank account, and out of his checking account, all that was taken was $20. However, he didn't check his savings account, which he didn't give them the number to, but they got. And that's where they drained considerable amount more money. I will also let you know that any of these scams, that if you are targeted and you even give an inch, your phone number goes out to other scammers. And in fact, my dad got a phone call saying, oh, Mr. Pavlides, I understand that you were a victim of a Microsoft scam. I'm calling from an asset recovery firm. We can get your money back. All we need is the following. So even the bad guys take advantage of the situation and double down on it, trying to look like they're the good guys. And by the way, on my dad's phone, the call display said asset recovery. Fortunately, my mother was there and grabbed his phone, and I think she smashed it to little pieces, but I'm not positive about that. But again, the best advice if you fall a victim to one of these scams is get a new computer, shut down all your bank accounts immediately, all your credit cards. I know this is a pain, and get rid of your phone and try to get a new phone number. My deputy chief's mother fell for a very similar, my old deputy chief's, and when I was in Queens, mother fell for a very similar scam where she got a random phone call where the phone said Microsoft, and they told her, hey, has your computer been running slower than normal lately? As we all know, as you use a computer and more's on it, it runs slower and slower, even by fractions. So she said, yes, it has. Well, good. We're from Microsoft and we can help you fix the computer, allow us remote access. And it's the same thing. It's just a variation of it. And once again, I will say, whether it's Microsoft and I shouldn't say Apple, because Apple does answer the phone pretty quickly. I'm not advocating to go to Apple. I'm not a salesman. I'm not doing that. But have you ever tried calling Microsoft? You're going to be on hold for quite some time. They will take care of the problem, but it's not quick, and there's no way they're going to be calling you. Again, common sense, but when you're not completely thinking that it's a scam and it's appearing on your phone as Microsoft, it's understandable that you would continue to do this. So I want to touch upon a number of other frauds that are out there. And one of them has been coming up a lot lately. It's a lottery scam. We've seen this over and over here in Brooklyn, where people either get an email or a phone call letting them know that they've won Publishers Clearinghouse and that they have won pick your number, $10 million and a brand new Cadillac or whatever, Rolls Royce. And that they're very happy to send the money, but first upfront fees have to be paid, upfront taxes need to be paid. And then after those are all covered, we will be sending you the money. What bank account do you want that sent into? Can you give us that bank account number? And again, you see the pattern here. It's all of these frauds are basically the same fraud, just with a different twist on it. How can I gain access to your bank account? How can I get you to send me money quickly? And again, because I do this for a living, I had always thought if someone called me and said, you've won $10 million, but first you have to pay $100,000 in taxes and fees to get your money, my natural reaction would be, take it out of my winnings. Send me 9,900,000. In fact, send me 9 million. Keep $1 million for yourself. I'm good with that. I'm fine. But again, I think people get so excited. And in fairness, a lot of these people never entered Publishers Clearinghouse. It's just, I won. Oh my God, all of my financial problems are solved. So it's the opposite of the panic. It's the thrill that they're kind of going after here. So be aware, if you didn't enter it, you didn't win it. And even if you entered it, you probably didn't win it. I don't know how many of you play Lotto, and if any of you have won the $10 million, you may be the ones on the islands that we were talking about earlier. So good for you, but not likely. Another thing we're seeing quite a bit of here in Brooklyn is a contractor scam, where so with a contractor scam, what they try to do is, again, as I said before, they use social media to engineer how to go after someone. Contractor scam is a little bit different. They will stake out neighborhoods, and they're going to look for a home where there's only one person living in it. They're looking for a senior who's living alone. They do that by every other house has 2 or 3 garbage cans out on trash day. This one only has 1. They may just stick around the neighborhood, see who's coming in and out of doors. But once they find their target, what they will do is they will put a red mark somewhere on their driveway or on their stoop or wherever else, and then knock on the door and say, oh, goodness, I see that the Department of Buildings has marked your building for demolition due to your faulty roof or whatever it may be. We can help you take care of that. We do roofing. I'm so glad we drove by today. And what they tend to do is they go up on the roof. They do more damage, and then they bring you up there and show you to the extent they can, or take pictures. Oh, look at all the damage to your roof. You really need us to help you. We have seen people scammed out of close to $1 million on this because they think their home's going to be bulldozed down because it's no longer sound. No work is done, or no legitimate work is done. And the scam can run from, we need to get a crane in here. So if you can give us a $500,000 down payment for that crane, it'll be returned to you. When the crane is returned, it's more of a security deposit. So if anything happens, and it is amazing how easy this is to fall for. And again, they target it, they know what they're doing, and they take advantage of people who are, in that case, panicked. Oh my God, the Department of Building is going to demolish my house or condemn it. So deed theft is also, I don't know about elsewhere here in Brooklyn, and when I was in Queens, this is a very troubling trend, although I'm happy to report that in the last 2 years, we've noticed a decrease. I would like to think that's because of the lectures I've been giving. I doubt it. I would also like to think it's because of something called ACRIS, which you see on your screen there. ACRIS is in the city for all the boroughs other than Staten Island. all of your property records are online. You can go take a look at them right now. You just go to Acris, you put in your information of your address, and you will see the last transaction, which should be the deed to you. You can now register on Acris to get an email, and I highly recommend anyone who is a homeowner do this. You can register on Acris to get an email in the event that anything is put on your property. So not just a transfer of your deed out of your name, because all they really need to do is get a copy of your deed, forge your signature, and suddenly that deed is not yours anymore. It's owned by someone else, at least on paper, and paper matters when it comes to ownership of property. But you can even get alerted if someone puts a lien on your house. If someone puts a UCC lien or other type of lien on your house, you will get notified. So I highly recommend signing up for it. The way I have seen deed theft most often is not just the random, let me print out a deed and forge a name. It's usually when a homeowner is going for help. Either they're in trouble with foreclosure, they need to refinance, and the scammer takes advantage of them by saying, I need you to sign. I'm happy to help you. We'll take care of the foreclosure. We'll deal with all of that. But you need to sign this stack of papers. And as they're flipping through signing, one of the things they end up signing without even realizing it is their own deed, transferring it to usually a corporation that is set up. So if any of you are ever in the unfortunate circumstance of being in financial distress with your home, make sure that you either read everything, and if that's not realistic, have a lawyer that you have hired to represent you in any transaction. Don't let the person who's saying they can help you and get you a lawyer do that, because usually that's not a good sign if they're the ones getting you the lawyer. Hopefully this doesn't apply to any of you, because it's I will be trying a case next month, and it's been 12 years since most of the people had lost their homes, and the deed's still not back in their name. So hopefully in January, when the trial's over, we can correct that situation. Another thing I want to talk about is romance scams. And I say, do what I do. If I get an email from a stunningly beautiful 24-year-old woman who is madly in love with me, the first thing I do is look in the mirror, because I am not 24 anymore. I think I am, and I wish I were, but I'm not. I get it. I get why people fall for this. Listen, even if it's, I don't really believe she loves me, but it gives me, I'm lonely. It gives me someone to talk to communicate with. I get it. If you're, up there in years and you're now alone, it's easy to fall for. Normally, the way this progresses is starts off as just a lot of flirting, and then turns to, after you've now fallen in heavy like or love with this person, oh my goodness, my mother needs an operation. I can't afford it. I wish I had the money. I can't stand to see, or some other variation on that. Can you please send me money? The other twist on that is occasionally it turns into an investment scam. Wow, you were so wonderful and you were so smart. A friend of mine is into Bitcoin, and he made me $50,000 last year alone. Would you like to take a chance of investing? Not 50,000. I mean, you don't want to invest that much. Why don't you start small, like $5,000? And they have you download an app. App's on the phone, and your $5,000, according to this app tracking your money, is now worth $150,000. And you're like, wow, this is a great investment. All fake. Not real. Not really tracking Bitcoin, because they just took your $5,000 and spent it on something. But now that you see how much money you're making, hey, this is going really well. Would you like to put another 50 or 100,000 in it? Imagine how much money you're going to have now. And I see this as, again, similar to the lottery scam. It's the high of my financial problems are going to be all taken care of, as opposed to the fear. So be aware of that. Email phishing. How many, if I were in the room, you'd all have your hands up, have received a random email that you just, from looking at it, you knew was fake? They're getting better. They're using artificial intelligence once again to help draft the emails so that they read grammatically correct and more akin to what you would expect to receive. Don't trust an unsolicited email. And I will tell you a story where I could have trusted it. I got about 6 months ago, and my wife called me. She's a former prosecutor as well. She's retired. I am jealous. She received an email from Spectrum saying that they needed access to the building we're in to take a look at the wires to make sure that the Wi-Fi is running efficiently. So she called me up and said, this is a scam, right? I'm like, yeah, it sounds like it. I've never heard of this one before. Why don't you look up Spectrum's number online and just give them a random call? Don't use the number in the email, just look it up. And so she looks up Spectrum, she calls them, and the reply was, oh, no, we do. We need access to your building. The Wi-Fi is running slowly. We need to get in there. The reason I'm telling you this, it wasn't a scam, but that one extra step, just look up the phone number, call them. Don't just immediately call the number on the email, because that may be a scammer trying to gain access. I will tell you one of my favorite stories is there was years ago, and I don't remember the bank, so I don't want to malign any bank, but a particular bank was email scam where emails were sent out to people saying that they needed to update their account information. The bank is updating its system, and therefore please log in. And it took them to what looked like the real bank site. It was not, and it got all the information. This was such a big breach that it actually made the news, where they warned people, don't fall for this. About a week and a half later, a new email went out from the scammers saying, perhaps you have heard on the news about the scam perpetrated against our customers. Please sign in below to secure your password, to secure your password. Again, from the scammers. They doubled down on the fraud and the fear of being taken advantage of. Identity theft is big. I would ask you, all of you, to raise your hands if you've been a victim, but I will do it for you because I have been a victim of identity theft 3 times, and I am the chief of the Frauds Bureau. So again, identity theft is out there, and I will tell you what to do when I'm done telling you the story of my life. Wasn't too bad the first time. Someone used one of my credit cards in Texas to buy a bunch of Apple products. I realized it when I looked at the statement. And by the way, look at your billing cycles, check them out regularly, make sure that you're just not paying the bill blindly. I found out it was fraud, shut down the credit card, talked to the credit card company. They reimbursed me. It was fine. It was no big deal. The second time I was the victim of identity theft, someone joined a dating site in California and bought flowers and chocolate. My wife is not convinced this was identity theft. I've assured her over and over again, definitely identity theft. I count that as number 2. Again, credit card company took care of it. The third and final one was probably the most startling for me. I filed my taxes one year jointly with my wife, and I got a letter back from the IRS saying, rejecting my filing, or I don't know if it was, I forget if it was a letter or something else, because they had already issued me a $40,000 refund to a PO box in Russia. So someone had filed tax returns for me, claiming to be me, and somehow had a really good accountant so that they got $40,000 back on taxes. I will tell you, I don't think I've ever gotten money back. I dream of the day that will happen. But they sent $40,000 to a PO box in Russia, they being the IRS. I found out that year, I think they sent close to $40 million to that same PO box in Russia. Why they don't have better security on that, I don't know. But in any event, victim 3 times, what do you do? So now when I file my tax returns, I have to put in a special code. So that's easy. But I also did this, and I kind of covered investment scams, so I'm going to skip over that right now. I went to the 3 credit reporting agencies, which are on your screen right now. One of the things you can do, and especially I would think for people our age, is you can do a credit freeze. I'm not looking to buy a new home. I'm not looking to take out a new loan. Freeze your credit. No one then can get access, because I have seen in the past, people buy cars with the credit of someone, steal their identity, go out and buy a brand new Corvette. I've seen people take out mortgages in people's names where they didn't realize their name was being used. But if your credit is frozen, it cannot be used. No mortgage can be taken out. No car can be bought. No new credit card can be opened. Downside, if you're walking through Macy's and they're having a special deal, if you sign up for their credit card today, you get 40% off. You can't sign up for it because you first have to get in touch with all 3 credit agencies and unfreeze, or I think they call it thaw your credit. It's done in a day. So if ultimately you do need to take out a loan, do need to do something, it's pretty easy to do. I used to give this lecture and say, I have not done it yet, but I recommend all of you do. It's kind of ridiculous. I have done it. I have frozen all the credit agencies. Again, just as important as signing up for ACRIS if you're a homeowner, do this. Go, you can call them, you can write them. I found it easier to call. You can go online. You don't have to buy the credit, the ID protection. It's free, totally free to do. You can also, under federal law, get a free credit report once a year. So if you do it right, you get 3 a year, because you do one from Equifax in January, one from Experian in July, and one from TransUnion in November. Now you've kind of covered the year, you got your free credit report, and your credit report credit score to me at my age at this point doesn't matter that much, but it will tell me any open accounts. And if all of a sudden I say, oh, wait a second, TD Bank, I have a TD Bank, I don't have a TD Bank account, it will alert me to someone may have taken my identity and opened a TD Bank account. So highly recommend doing that. So again, most important things as I stop sharing my screen. Let me give you one more in case you need it. So our action center is if you're the victim of a crime where we will have jurisdiction here in Brooklyn, they will take the initial complaint and forward it to both myself and my chief of intake of new cases to review. Or you can call the Frauds Bureau directly. So if you know, please, also, one more thing, pass this information on. Friends, family, anything that you found useful in this lecture, let people know. Knowledge is power. Having the knowledge of what these scams are and not to fall for them. I get paid the same whether I have 1 case or 70 cases. I'd rather have the 1 case. I'd rather not see people victimized. So knowledge is power. Please, please pass that knowledge around. And I want to, again, thank you all for having me today, and happy to answer any questions that anyone has.
Okay, thank you. I have some questions, but people, okay, raise your hands if you have any questions. I'll call on you. Again, if there's if you're more comfortable in putting questions in the chat, Susan, can you check the chat while I'm doing the raise hand? Okay. Eileen?
Hi, Publishers Weekly. I did do Publishers Weekly.
Eileen, I'm sorry. I think someone is talking, or might have their. If you could mute yourself, I think we hear you talking. Thank you. Go ahead, Eileen.
Okay, so I used to do Publishers Weekly, fill it out all the time, and I got a call, and the first time, well, first of all, when they said send me money in your bank account, I knew, but they actually sent an email with Publishers Weekly that looked real. But my husband had set up a separate email, a different email, so it wouldn't go to me. And I did contact Publishers Weekly and with the scams. So that was rather interesting. And I called them and they said they never call, never. Of course, how they know you're home, I haven't figured that out. The other thing is Amazon. I keep getting a call from Amazon. It's a robot. Somebody, bought this for $1,500 and just stay on. And I usually just hang up because if it was real, why are you sending me a robot call?
Yeah, and you may even get Amazon emails that look real saying that, someone ordered this, please sign in to confirm that you did not do it, and they'll get information from you. Very good that you were able to pick up on all of that. It's sometimes difficult to spot the scam from what's real. So nice job.
Thank you.
Karen, if you could unmute yourself. Oh, Karen Mangiello, I'm sorry. Karen, yeah.
Okay. Okay, my question, I don't know if it's directly related or not, but I've been involved in several breaches of information. And then when I go to, when I follow up and I sign up with the agents, with the credit company and all that, I've gotten messages saying that my information is on the dark web. And I am wondering how serious this is and what I should do about it.
First of all, I think most all of our information is out there on the dark web, so there's not much you can do about it. That's why I recommend a credit freeze. I was part of a Department of Justice had their entire employee database hacked years ago, and I was cross-designated as an AUSA. My information is out there. Once one person has it, they make it a commodity and they sell information. So I don't think the emails you're getting that are saying it's out there are real. That's probably trying to play on your fears. But the reality of the matter is all of our information, or at least most of our information, I would say at least 80% of the people in this room, has probably at some point been compromised and is somewhere out there. Credit freeze is the best method to protect yourself.
Okay, I put credit freezes on everything. These emails are from Experian, who is supposedly watching my case because I was breached. Does it matter if I change the password on my accounts or not?
If you're going to change the password, don't do it through an email you get. Do it independently. And
Yeah.
if you have any question about the Experian email, look up on Google their 800 number or 888 number, give them a call, speak to a person and say, I'm getting these emails. Are they from you? And they may tell you, no, they're not from us. Or they may tell you, yes, they are. And here's what you can do. One of the things I will say about credit agencies, they're also for profit. They're a business, and they would love to charge each and every one of us a fee to guard and protect our identity. We can do that ourselves. But that is so, again, I think all of our information, unfortunately, is compromised, or at least most of us. Not to scare anyone. It's, again, identity theft 3 times. It happens.
The trick with Experian is I've tried, you cannot get through to a live person. So the other credit agencies are better, but
Interesting. Okay.
I just can't. I've tried. Okay, well, thank you.
Of course.
Before I call on the next person with the hand raised, Susan, first off, I've seen a few comments in the chat just thanking you very much, Greg, that it was helpful information. Susan, but I think there's a few questions. Can you?
Yes. Yeah. The first was just that I'll mention as a comment. Vincent Giamo is saying he got a call from someone saying this is a service call regarding your Medicare card, and he hung up immediately. So that was pretty smart.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So the first of the couple questions I have is, how do you contact ACRIS is one of the questions.
So it's basically Google ACRIS. It's part of the Department of Finance. You can also Google New York City Department of Finance. It's their official website. And as I try to 1 second. Let me see if I can find, as I'm talking to you quickly, the actual ACRIS main options. So it stands for the Automated City Register Information System. It's part of the New York City Department of Finance. If you just, and I see I have an exact address, but it's a weird one. I'm going to go to Google and just put in ACRIS and see what happens. ACRIS, enter. First thing that pops up, nyc.gov ACRIS. So just Google ACRIS and it will take you right to the Automated City Register System.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Okay, that was from Eileen. Okay, and I have one more question in the chat. Can I go ahead with that, Joan?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So this is from John DiFilippo. Why is it legal for a bank to solicit credit cards under the bank's name, but is actually a third party and the invoice cannot be paid at the bank?
So banks have it actually isn't a third party. I used to think, oh, it's Visa, oh, it's MasterCard, oh, it's American Express. No, they authorize the issuance, but the banks are the actual issuers of the card, but banks bifurcate themselves. So there's a separate credit card unit and banking unit. They're separate and distinct, even though they're under the same umbrella. So that probably tells you why you feel like you're going to a third party. But if you have a Chase credit card, a Chase Visa, a Chase MasterCard, Chase Bank, at least their section that does credit cards is the one that are overseeing that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Karen Calhoun, if you could unmute yourself, please. Karen? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move ahead to Jay.
I'm sorry, I couldn't get my phone to show the unmute button. I'm sorry.
No problem.
I have a couple questions. There is an advertisement on TV about Norton LifeLock that, and I think there's a commercial where the person's social security number is on the side of a bus and it says, oh, you don't ever have to worry about your identity theft. Is that worthwhile to take out a subscription from Norton LifeLock?
So I'm not going to advocate for it or tell you not to do it. Again, all of the steps I've been suggesting is what they're going to do. They're going to check your credit. They're going to maybe put a freeze, probably not put a freeze on your account unless you request them to do it. But all they're going to do is monitor your credit on a regular basis. I will point out that I don't know if it was LifeLock or another company. Their president, when they first came out, was so proud of their service that he put his social security number up on a billboard because it was totally safe, and he had his identity stolen. So
he did. Oh my God.
Again, I'm not saying don't do it if it gives you a sense of security and ease, by all means. But again, they're a company looking to turn a profit.
Okay, you mentioned that if someone is able to by remote access get your hard drive, get all of the contents of your hard drive, that you could potentially be in trouble. Now, one of the things that I never do is enter my password and ask the computer or the website to save that password for me. I'd rather just enter it each.
Karen, can you get it correct? Karen,
you're breaking
store the bird.
So you're breaking up a little bit. I think the question is, I'm
asking whether or not,
yes.
Okay, I'm asking whether or not if you do not store your passwords on your hard drive, you just enter it every time you go onto the computer, rather than have the convenience of not having to do it. Is that helpful at all, or does it matter?
I mean, it is, I guess, somewhat helpful. The trouble is, if they really do download everything, they're going to have your history of internet, and they may be able to discern the password. My personal preference is I let the computer choose a really complex password. I used to use like the same one, either my
Yeah.
daughter's name with 4 digits or something like that. But I don't save the information necessarily to the site itself. But I do
Okay.
save it on my computer so it can re-enter it each time. But again,
Oh,
and I
okay.
don't mean to scare you. There is nothing that is
Yeah.
100% safe.
Got you. And last question, what's the best way to dispose of an old computer?
That's an excellent question. And I will tell you, if you were here when I first came on, I could barely get my screen share working. I tried to, my mother is moving down to Florida herself, and I was trying to get rid of the computer that my dad had that was compromised, that has not been used since. And I could not figure out how to wipe the hard drive. I called my nephew, Aiden, who is good with computers. He was able to do it. So I wish I said just hit Alt Control or something and it will work. I don't have an answer for you. I have been told strong magnets can do it.
Yeah.
But if you have a younger relative who's really good with computers, have them wipe the hard drive for you.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, Karen. Jay?
Yeah, you can always just take the hard drive out and take a hammer to it.
Or
That works good.
put it in
That
water
sound-
Use that
too.
too.
Yeah, that sounds good, Jay. Thank
Just
you.
get
But
have
you also have to take out the memory sticks as well.
I'm sorry?
no, the RAM memory
The
doesn't
memory
matter.
sticks.
I don't think that matters.
You
It's
need
random
to,
access
you don't want to throw them out unless you delete everything off of them. So
for sure. A point. I used Acris. I worked for HRA for 27 and something years. Used Acris quite often. It ain't the most user-friendly thing in the world. Because
very
first
true.
you look up your block and lot number and then your address. And then of course, once you get in, you can look at all your neighbors, what their mortgages are, which is always fun.
Although there is a way to just put in the address and then it will pull up the block and lot number. So you don't need to have the block and lot number to begin with.
I haven't been on there lately, so I'll take your word for that one. A point, not 2-3 days ago, I got a solicitation from, well, look at the company, AAA, America, the Auto Club. I bought some merchandise from them. I've done it several times before. And because my wife and I have been subscribed there for God knows 40 years, it was a free gift, pay the shipping. I put the shipping on a credit card, which I always use for my online stuff. And 4 days later, there was like a $77 and something charge from the same doofus sounding company. And I just immediately smelled a rat and I froze that. And I'm waiting to see if I actually ever do get the merchandise. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, again, be careful of unsolicited emails, even if it's a company you belong to. And I will say, I got an email the other day that my Chase account has been suspended. And my wife started laughing and I said, this is like my social security number. The only Chase account I have is my mortgage. You want to suspend that? Please do. But if I did have Chase accounts and I see that, just as, with AAA, yeah, I'm a member. Of course, they'll send me an email. Be careful of even something you belong to sending you an email, and always try to verify the bona fides of that email.
Well, that was the catch. The thing looked totally kosher to me. Subsequently, again, called the 800 number on the back of the credit card because that's a legit number. And I check my account twice a day on my phone. So see if anything else gets posted.
The other thing you can do with an unsolicited email, and it doesn't always help, but it does a lot of the times, hit reply. Don't reply, but hit reply. And then all of a sudden you will see the email and what looked like Chase Bank suddenly comes back to Jerome Smith at gmail. Whatever. It's so sometimes they can make it appear as if it's coming from Chase, but as soon as you hit reply, it gives you the real email address it came from.
Agreed. A point Joan might have mentioned, I'm the representative to Comro, Council of Municipal Retiree Organizations. I congratulate you on being a retiree in training. But some years ago, we're sitting at a meeting and 5 or 6 of us at this meeting of about 20 people had all gotten the email that morning that a friend of ours, Stu Eber, who was a longtime HRA employee, who was chairman of the committee actually, was sitting next to us, but he was trapped in Manila. And they were asking us for $5,000 because he lost his credentials and his passport. So we had a good laugh about that one, but it's just silly coincidence.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Anything else, Jay? Oh, thanks, Jay. Susan, can you check the chat? That's a tongue
Yes,
twister.
thank you.
Check the chat.
A couple questions. So the first one is from Margaret McSheffrey. Could you please confirm that you can still use your credit cards after you freeze your credits?
Absolutely. All it's doing is preventing from new accounts being opened in your name. Every one of your current accounts, nothing happens to them. Now, again, your credit card that you have could still be compromised. I highly recommend always tapping when you can and not swiping. The tapping, it's actually ingenious. I learned this not too long ago. So every time you tap, there is a new algorithm created by your card, a chip. So you'll have a totally different number the second time you tap. So if someone steals the information on your first tap, that's already no longer good. A swipe will give them the credit card numbers, and then they can go to town online with it. But to answer your question more succinctly, your credit cards will be still valid, still running. You just can't open a new one, nor can anyone else.
Great, thank you. Next question. There's 3, so I don't know if you want me to keep going, Joan. This is from Brian Mitzoff. The question is, I live in New Hampshire. The county deeds office links to a fraud alert subscription. It's shucks, it went away. It's free, but a private company. How can I check to see if this is legitimate?
Maybe call the deed office in New Hampshire just to see what they have to say about it. Maybe they've contracted it out. I always say go to the original source. If you have a question about the office that files deeds, call the office that files deeds and talk to someone there to try to find out.
So that leads to the third question from Mark Lewis, who's asking, if you don't live in the city, what should you look for as an equivalent to ACRIS in the rest of the state, for example?
It's a good question. Again, as I said, Staten Island isn't even on ACRIS as of yet. So I usually do my Staten Island joke now. I won't do that in case any of you live in Staten Island or from Staten Island. Every place is different. I believe that, and I may mess this up, either Nassau or Suffolk recently went online. The other one is not yet online. So it's county by county. But I'm sure if you were to just do an internet search of whatever county you're in and deed recording and all of that, you may get the information online.
Okay. That's it for questions for the moment.
Okay. There happened to have been Jeanette, I don't remember your last name, but Jeanette, you had your hand raised and you clicked it off. I know it's been a few minutes. Do you want to ask your question, Jeanette?
Saying she doesn't have audio on her computer.
Excuse me?
She's saying she doesn't have audio on her computers. So should I just read what she wrote?
Yeah, because she was next. Yes, thank you.
A friend of mine who does not speak English went to their bank and their account was cleaned out by someone using their name. They went to the police department and they were not helpful. What should he do?
Escalate at the police department. I'm going to be very cynical right now. Oftentimes, the police department, depending on where you are, does not want to get involved with white-collar crimes. It's not as easy as he hit me over the head and took my wallet. Okay, we'll go find him.
This is in Brooklyn, by the way. This is in Brooklyn. It's in Brooklyn.
Call our Action Center, the number I put on the screen. Give out the Action Center number. They have translators there, depending on the language, or they'll use language line if necessary, if it's a really unique language. Call them. Make the report. My other cynical thing is that precinct didn't want an uptick in larcenies, so they brushed it out the door. But you could also escalate at the precinct if you want. I would like to speak to a sergeant or a captain or the commanding officer. I've been victimized. I want to be heard. But if not, if it's easier, that's why we have that action center there.
Thank you. Okay. Linda, Lucas, if you could unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. I recently received notice from Chase Bank. They have a identity protection service, and it's actually information from Experian. So I went into all the credit bureaus and I looked at alerts, and of course there's a list of, you know, the dark web alerts on all of them. But one of the alerts, I believe it was on Experian, and I froze, I put freezes on everything, but one of the alerts on Experian said that my social security number had been swept up in a breach. And I called Chase again just to check on that. And they said, yes, there had been a huge data breach in the United States. And, you know, it sounded like everybody's social security number had been swept up. And of course, sometimes, you know, there's all of these precautions. And one of the precautions that was suggested was that if I was concerned, I should change my social security number.
You can't.
Oh.
You cannot do it. I've even had, when I used to do organized crime rackets, I had informants who we were trying to relocate, and you can never, ever, ever, under any circumstances that I'm aware of, change your social security number. But again, what does the social security number get them? It gets them your identity. If you have your identity, what are they going to do with it? You've got freezes. They can't open up credit cards. They can't take out a loan. They can't monetize that information they have. So, and again, I didn't say it jokingly. I would not be shocked if someone told me that each and every one of us in this meeting has had their identity compromised. So don't panic about it. Don't lose sleep over it. You've taken the appropriate precautions.
Okay, that's good news. Actually, I didn't want to have to go through that process.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
Okay. Susan?
Yeah.
You have some questions.
Yeah, there were some other things in the chat.
Oh, okay.
Okay, this one was from Joan Pantesco regarding identity theft. Does the presenter know if the United States Postal Service mail info system, McCarnish Systems, LLC, regarding IMS systems were encrypted by ransomware is legitimate?
I have no idea, but you've reminded me of something I should have mentioned. Don't mail checks. If you can avoid doing it, use Venmo, I know my parents, they would always mail checks because they didn't trust the internet. We have more mail theft in Brooklyn where, so you know the mailboxes in the cities, you got the blue boxes and the brown boxes next to them. The brown boxes are relay boxes. That's where the mail delivery person leaves all their mail when they make their first round so they can go back to make their second, then their third. People steal keys and manufacture keys, and they take all that mail. Once they have your check, they have your bank account information, they can make up their own checks for whatever amount they want. So to the extent, I know sometimes you do have to mail a check, to the extent you can avoid it, it's actually better to do things online. I know that didn't answer the question, but I don't have an answer for the question because I am not sure.
Okay, thank you. Two other questions that are quick. One is, could you talk about debit cards? Someone is saying how they took the debit card feature off their ATM card. And then if you could repeat the Kings County fraud action number, that would help people, I think.
No problem at all.
Maybe when somebody could put it in the chat.
And sorry, I'm going to try to talk and pull up my old,
Sorry.
No problem at all. So debit cards, very much like credit cards, they can be compromised very easily. We have had a situation where, and again, if you can tap at your ATM, tap, don't swipe. Because what they tend to do is they will put a reader right over the real reader, and you won't even know when you insert your card that it has now stolen your information. And then they will put an overlay on the keyboards where you won't even realize that as you're typing in the numbers, they're getting the numbers of your PIN code. So again, to the extent you can tap, they won't be able to compromise it at the bank. But just like a credit card, debit cards can be compromised.
Okay.
And I'm looking up the, a little slow on
I
this.
found- Is it 718-250-2340? Is that it?
Hold on, sorry. Be there in 1 second. It is, yes, 250-2340, 718-250-2340.
Thank you very much.
Of course.
Susan, did you have any questions?
No, he's pretty much answered them all. Thank you.
Oh, okay. So I have,
2340.
I'm sorry. So I have a couple questions, Greg. Can you just repeat when to replace your computer and phone?
So if you've been a victim of if you've been a victim of any scam whatsoever, where they've used your phone number, where they've contacted you over the phone, best to get a new phone number, because once they have your phone number and they know you have fallen victim to the scam, your number is now a commodity and they will sell it to other scammers to keep going after you. So that's for the computer. If you fell for one of the Microsoft scams where you allowed someone remote access to your computer, if you've already allowed that remote access, and you have to like let them in by clicking on something on your screen to allow the remote access, you will know if you've done it, and then they will be able to move the mouse around and do whatever they need to do. If that happened to you, best to get rid of that computer and get a new one.
Okay. And then, so over the years, I've had, I've set up unique passwords for, I must have a list of 60. I'm sure you get this question. Where do I keep the list?
Okay, so it's funny you say that. My dad, before he passed, he was having memory issues. So he got an app for his phone that allowed you to put all your passwords on it and then was password protected. It was brilliant, except he couldn't remember the password for the password protected program that had all his passwords in it. Again, what I do, and I don't know if it's a complete cure-all, I save it to my computer. I let my computer remember and save the random numbers that it creates for each website. I have it create the strongest possible one. Where would I keep if I have that? I mean, unless your home is burglarized, a locked box is fine. Just in case you never know if a friend of a friend may rummage through and grab something. I doubt it, but it should be pretty secure in your home. To the extent you can put it in a lockbox, even better.
Okay.
And you may want to actually, now that I'm thinking of it, God forbid, put it in a fire retardant lockbox just in case something terrible happens.
Just in case. Okay.
And I see in a comment, someone said they save it to a USB drive that is portable. So a little thumb drive, which I had not thought of, but that sounds like also a good idea.
Oh, okay.
But
and then
Joel, you can also use an Excel sheet and then a password that too. So they even, if someone goes into it, if they don't have the password to the Excel sheet, they cannot access it.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. And then the other thing, I know if I know of one person in particular, who this is a friend who makes friendly calls to seniors, and one of the seniors basically basically got scammed. It was a romance scam, but she was not aware of it. She just wouldn't accept it. Is there anything that my friend could have done? No.
So another brief war story. I had a gentleman when I was in Queens, over 60, but perfectly with it, who thought he had won the Brazilian lottery, which of course he had never entered. His family, as he's sending tens of thousands of dollars out of the country to pay the tariffs and the taxes and all of that, his family said, "Dad, this is a scam. Don't keep me from my money. Don't keep me from my money." They called NYPD. NYPD came over. "You're trying to keep me from my money." They called me. I sent detective investigators over. "You're keeping me from my money." We also work with FBI and Secret Service. I sent them over. $600,000 later, he realized it was a scam. Sometimes people want to believe these things so much. I don't know if there's much that can be done. Just show them articles, explain to them. But especially a romance scam, are you telling me the person that I truly believe cares about me is fake? That's tough to get into the head. I can understand that.
Right, right. It's very sad.
It is. It is.
Quite sad. Okay. Thank you. Eileen? Greg, how are you for time?
I have a 2:30 meeting, so we're good right now.
Okay, all right.
Very quickly, you said, don't swipe it, tap it. What about the credit card where you put it inside?
I would, again, tap it. If you can tap it, tap it. Again, the credit card inside is okay, but when you put it inside the machine, it is downloading your account number without encoding it completely with the chip, whereas the tap, you're good. But again, just keep an eye on your billing cycles, because I'm convinced that some brilliant criminal will come up with a way of decoding the chip. But right now, we're safe with that. Also,
the Department of Aging in New York City may have a unit that could actually deal with working with seniors when they don't want to accept something. I'm not sure of that, but just a thought. Okay.
Anything that you could do to try to help someone, by all means, take advantage of it.
Karen Mangiello?
Yes, you mentioned keeping passwords the old-fashioned way in lock boxes or whatever. I have Apple products. I create the strongest password possible, and I save them to my keychain. And my keychain has a password or Face ID protection. Is that not good enough?
That is the best way to do it. I do not recommend writing them down and keeping them somewhere that could be taken. I do the exact same thing you do. I let the computer, the Apple in this case, create the strongest password. I save it to my computer. I don't save it to the website, solely to the computer, where then I would have the password protected access to my passwords. I don't know if Google offers that service. I believe it does, but I don't know for certain. I am an Apple user, and I'm not advocating go to Apple products at all. But you're doing the right thing. You're doing the best thing possible. It doesn't make you completely bulletproof, but it does help.
Okay, thank you.
So when you say, so let the, whatever, create the password, and then you save it. So when you go onto that site again, it recognizes it.
Usually what it is once you type in your username, your computer recognizes the username, recognizes the website, and your computer will then re-input the password. As opposed to, there are some sites that allow you to save the password, so every time you visit, the password is right there waiting for you. Right. I recommend the former, not the latter.
Okay. Susan, is there anything else in the chat?
Yeah, so it's just like a comment from Mark Lewis. He said that another scam that somebody tried was that his wife got a call that she did not show up for jury duty, and they wanted money to keep her from being locked up. They called a judge friend, and he told us it was a scam. Information.
Yeah, if they're going to lock you up, they ain't going to warn you about it. We don't usually give you a call and say, by the way, next Wednesday, we're coming to get you.
Right. Oscar? unmute yourself.
Yes, thank you. The information is very helpful, but just quickly, right, my social security number had been compromised, so I actually froze
And you're frozen.
stuff with the credit union, and I just want to say, when you do one, they let you know that they do the other two. So the other two credit unions, they do it for you automatically. When you call TransUnion, they'll do the other two credit.
Oh, that's good to know. I wasted my time going to all three, but
Right. And you can discuss it with them when you're doing this to verify that. They'll tell you the person on the phone. But the thing that I have, you said something that I keep coming back to. I mean, so because the way I look at it, if your social security number is stolen, freezing the account is the best things you said, because nobody else can open up a new account with your, unless and you can. They also told me, I said, well, what about if I want to buy something else? They said, well, just call us. It takes just as quickly as you call us now. You call us and you unfreeze it for the moment you want to do something different, and then you can freeze it again. So
yes,
that made sense. But the thing you said about, because in home, I'm thinking of expenses and whatnot. If you have to, you have to. But what's in my mind, if on a computer, someone has 5 children, God forbid, and the basic PC is compromised that way. I mean, you really need to buy a whole new computer, because if you're freezing your information, you're not protected. I mean, I realize if the hacker got your computer inside, they see things, but if you, like, for your bank account number, you keep that information to yourself. That's part of the most important thing you need is your bank account number. Your TV and other passwords, really, to me, not that they're not important, but they're not as important as your money. So I guess what I'm saying, is it really that important to actually buy? If someone bought an expensive computer and it's hacked, spend $5,000, you're saying they should get a new computer?
I mean, the only other option is completely wipe that hard drive professionally and start again. But again, the more important thing once they get into your computer is, if that happens to you, and if you allow someone access to your computer by clicking on yes, allow access, and they are criminals who do it. I know I allow access to Apple computers when I'm having a problem, but I deal with Apple directly. Once you're compromised, more importantly is shut down every financial account you have and start again, because they're going to have that information. They now also have access again to your computer. So you're going to want, best case scenario is either wipe that hard drive and start again, or get a new computer. In our case, the computer my dad was using was about a 7-year-old laptop that probably needed replacing anyway. So it was easier just to do that. But again, more important is if you are allowing access and someone has now compromised your computer, guard all your accounts, change them all.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. So it's like a little after 5, and I think
There's a couple online.
Yeah.
Can I go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead.
So a question and a couple of comments. A question from Janine Prudhomme is there any danger in staying logged on to a website? And an excellent presentation, she says.
Thank you. Any danger to staying logged on? I guess I would have a question for that question, which is, why would you stay logged on to a website? I don't think there necessarily is, but I'm not 100% sure. I like, if you're using Spotify on your computer and you're letting it play all day long, I don't think that's a problem.
Okay, thank you. And a couple comments. One was, credit union freezes expire and need to be renewed annually. So
I don't think that's the case. I will look into that, but my understanding is a freeze is a freeze is a freeze, and you have to lift it yourself. I think if you have a fraud report on your account, as opposed to freezing it, that may expire after a period of time. But my understanding is, once you're frozen, you're forever frozen until you unfreeze it.
Right.
Okay, good to know. And last, there's a comment from Janet Harvey. I booked a Delta flight for November about 2 weeks ago, and yesterday a call came through showing Delta Airlines, and it was someone calling regarding my Medicare. I just hung up the phone, just sharing.
Good thinking. Good thinking. Yeah.
Boy, they come up with some stuff. Wow.
It's always,
okay.
it keeps it interesting. It's always something new.
Right. Okay, that's it in for the right now for them.
You know, if people would use those smarts for positive things,
What a
right?
world we'd have. Absolutely.
What a better world we have. It's okay. Joan Lancaster.
I just wanted to confirm that my laptop was compromised, but I went to a computer store that cleaned off the laptop and started me over again because I didn't want to buy a new laptop. It was still fairly new.
That is fine. That's a good move to do. If you don't want to just start anew, if your laptop was really old, might be easier to just start anew, but that's perfectly done.
Great. Okay. Thank you, Joan. Jay, you muted.
Yes, my battery dies on me. One thing, just to give you a little tip, Brooklyn, a couple, 3 weeks ago, I'm in Windsor Terrace. And what we used to call when I was a kid, Irish travelers, a bunch of guys on crappy looking trucks trying to fix chimneys and roofs and things. And the block is full of old retired civil servants like I am. And basically we chased them off the block.
If you could please call and report it to our hotline. When I was talking about contractor fraud, I never like saying the Nigerian scam or Irish travelers. That is what we are facing right now, and it's rampant. And by the way, hello, neighbor.
Okay. Oh, you muted, Jay.
On my back, all my financial sites all have two-part authentication. So if I'm not dialing in from my own ISP, my fixed ISP, my computer, and some that do, it'll come back that they'll text me a 6-digit code on my phone. And that seems
excellent to have.
Yeah.
Okay. So
thank you.
One other, I'm just gonna ask, so can you, I hear the dark web. My 32-year-old son tells me about the dark web. Like, what is it? Like, how do people get to it? Like, can I get to it?
I'm no expert on the dark web, but let me start by saying that I've seen a couple of presentations by the Secret Service, and it is slightly confusing to me. In order to get on the dark web, you need to know exactly what to type into the header. And it's going to be, AC17912-572, capital A, lowercase, and that will take you to a site where you can buy identities. So it's not something you can just look up on your computer. It's something that you will have to have inside information on. There are many a chat room out there that will provide you with go to this URL and you can get on the dark web. And dark web is, believe it or not, almost the majority of the internet. So it's scary. It's scary what's out there.
Oh my God. I think, it's nearing 2:15 and Greg has a meeting. Was there another question, Susan?
Just one quick one. Stephen Linden is asking, what about McAfee to clean a computer after it's been compromised?
So again, I am not an expert on those type of tools. So I don't want to say, oh, yes, that's going to work, or no, it's not going to work. I don't know the answer. That's usually, from my knowledge, a virus cleaning program more so than anything else. So if someone implanted a virus, that would get rid of it. But I'm not certain as to whether it's a foolproof protection once you've been compromised.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Of course, it's a pleasure.
Thank you. I mean, this has been such helpful information. You are terrific. You're so easy to, you know, talk to. You know, thank you so very, very much. We really appreciate it a lot. Thank you.
You're very welcome. And again, thank you for letting me pass this information on. We're the only business at the DA's office that doesn't want customers. So pass the word on and stay safe out there.
You too. Be
Thank
well. Thank you so
Thank you.
very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. Obviously we are, you know, it's close to 2:15, but I think this was very, very important to have Greg here as long as possible. Personally, I think this is one of the best presentations we've really ever had. Okay. Jay, Comro report.
Hi, Comro was this morning. We finally synced up the same days. The basic speaker was Barry Kaufman, who is the New York State chair or president of the New York State Association of Retired Americans, which is a lobbying group and information group. They are non-partisan. However, he was describing any issue related to seniors vis-a-vis the current election, national election, and the policies that each candidate has proven for or against seniors, and also discussing the track record of New York State congresspeople and their track record vis-a-vis senior issues, like protecting Medicare, Social Security, the issues. I can't go into all the issues, but if any of us have, you know, you're paying attention, he presented one little vignette, a little animated cartoon about this Project 2025, which is a horror story. And they made quotes from that book, from that 800-page some odd policy document by one famous candidate who shall remain nameless. And the particulars in that policy document are absolutely frightening to anybody. It means virtually eliminating Medicare as we know it by forcing us, making Medicare Advantage the default, by raising the retirement age to 70 and reducing benefits. I go on, but I'm not going to. Please just, to quote a Broadway show, vote early and vote often in your best interest. That was basically all we dealt with.
Did you see subs?
No, not yet, but I'm talking, I think this goes back
because subs
years, years and years and years. It was an old Broadway show.
Okay. I'm sorry. Anything else, Jay?
That was basically it. Everything else was like internal stuff that we deal with every week. But
Jay. Question, Jay.
Yes,
the
yes, yes.
Medicare, will it affect people who are already enrolled in Medicare or just new subscribers? Were you able to see whether?
If the so-called Republican Party is elected through Congress and through the White House, grab onto both cheeks because somebody's going to be shooting you in the back. It will affect everybody somehow.
Gotcha.
A point that was made when Trump was president, he had a year where we did not have to pay Social Security taxes out of our wages. In effect, that was a backdoor to defunding Social Security, which puts less money in the trust fund, which means there's less money in the future to pay out benefits. And beyond kicking the can down the road, because you know Congress is going to straighten up Social Security, but it might not do it for another 15 years. And then just instead of ripping off the Band-Aid, they'll have to rip off a major bandage. It's just, the cynicism is just unbelievable. And I believe all the horror stories where they say this is the most important election in our lifetimes.
Any other questions of Jay? Okay, health insurance, update, I'll make it fast. There's, so on October 7th will be, the, I don't know, court hearing, I might be saying the wrong word, regarding the $15 copay. Because right now, the judge lifted what's called the stay on the copay. So starting in January, we will be having to resume paying our copays. But on October 7th, I guess that is going to go to court again to see if that can be, the stay can be put back in place. But be prepared that January 1st, that we will have to start paying copays. The other thing that's going to be heard in court in November will be what's called the Campion case, which is the nuclear option, which was basically to get rid of all of the plans except for Aetna and to and keeping HIP. So that will be going to court on November 17th, the appeal of that. That is the only update that I have. Does anyone have anything else Jay, you have anything else to add about that? No, okay. Susan?
I just wanted to add that, I just wanted to add that there was a demonstration held this past, last week in front of City Hall to try and, by the New York City Organization of Public Service Retirees and several other organizations that are supporting Social Security and Medicare and Physicians for a National Health Program. I think it was pretty effective. It was, had got some press. There were hundreds of seniors there and at City Hall, and then they marched to the Aetna offices on 6th Avenue and Spring Street. So, people are still chugging along, fighting for Medicare.
Good.
That's it.
Okay, Susan?
Yes, I have a question. When you say copays, is that for all of the medical retiree plans or just specific ones?
GHI Senior Care.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Alan?
The $50 that OSA pays to the drug rider on the pension check, is that going to be continued? Would anyone know? Because I think it was on the agenda of a recent OSA meeting. The $50 that OSA pays toward the drug rider, the GHI drug rider on the pension check. Does anyone know whether that's going to be continued or?
Alan, this Rob. There's no indication that there'll be any change in that. Certainly not in the short term. We are investigating long term the question of adding a drug benefit to the welfare fund. When that happens, which won't be if it happens in this current period, it won't happen until after 2026 or 7. Maybe that would be revisited, but I wouldn't want to scare anybody by saying that. At this point, there's no plan for any changes.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, I just want to inform or share with you something that I've recently experienced that could possibly affect other retirees. I retired in May 2019. I started collecting Social Security April 2020. In early 2021, OSA had negotiated, completed the negotiation of the contract for prior years. I think it was 2018, 2019, and 2020. Sometime in 2021, I got a W-2 for back pay for 2018 and for the half of, of when I worked through 2019. Great, wonderful. Didn't, money. Didn't think anything more than that, and I'll get to that. 3 years later, just a couple weeks ago, NYSER readjusted the pension. Very, very nice. And there was back pay of a lovely amount. So it got me thinking, oh, what about Social Security? You know, that W-2 that I received in 2021, I didn't see that affected, increased my Social Security, because that means my salary went up in 2018 and for the 6 months that I worked in 2019. So I hope this is, so far clear. So I called Social Security, and they said, yes, they received that W-2 back then. And I said, was it applied to my Social Security? No, it wasn't applied to my Social Security, because they had no way of knowing how to apply it. So they said what I would need would be a revised W-2 from 2018, which showed what that increase, how that increased my salary, that I would need a revised W-2 for 2019 that would show how that increase, how that back pay increased my salary. Then they would take that information, recalculate my Social Security. I have no idea. I'm not a number cruncher. Maybe it would have raised it $25, $30 a month. I don't know. But then also I would get Social Security back pay. I emailed corporate pay. I worked for Health and Hospital. So I emailed their corporate payroll, explained the situation. And I requested, a revised W-2 for 2018 and a revised W-2 for 2019. I just received actually an email this morning, is that basically no, they don't do that. So I'm out of, again, I don't know what the figure is. I have to swallow it, but I'm pretty pissed off about it, to say the least. So in my response, I said to them, is there someone I can email about this? Because I think this is a very important issue, that this for people who retire, and even managers who where managers get increases too, but certainly, and there's back pay involved, that, if you fall into this period of time where you've retired, you start collecting Social Security, then a contract is negotiated that has back pay from several years, and actually Social Security was taken out of that lump sum, that there's no way for Social Security to recalculate your salary and then recalculate your Social Security benefit. So I just want to make people aware of that. I have like I said, I have no idea what can be done in the future about that. Like I said, except that I email payroll, email to say, is there someone I can speak to? Because there has to be I feel there has to be a vehicle that revises revises those W-2s with the correct salary, so that then Social Security can do what they have to do. And you know what? I mean, that 25, 30, I don't know how much that is. That would be, it's money. And certainly when you look at that, would have been the 4 years back pay, that would have been nice money. Has anyone experienced this? Know about it? Mark, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, have you contacted the controller's office?
No, I will do that. Thank you. Okay.
I don't know if they can do anything, but certainly worth a try. And the second thing would be to contact Jamal.
Jamami Williams?
Jamal, right.
Jamami Williams. Oh, thank you. I wouldn't have even thought about that. Jamami Williams. So
Because
Brad,
he's supposed to be the public advocate.
right, public advocate. Cool.
One or both might be able to help you.
Okay. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. And actually, just for anyone else, who might be running into that situation, since there's no solution yet, that would be a great, if you see that you're in that situation, there might be people now who, and I apologize, I don't recall, that maybe retired in 2022 or something, and I think the contract was just negotiated or completed in 2023. Am I correct about that, Rob? Or
I'm sorry.
that's okay, don't worry about it. No. So when was the last contract negotiated?
The last contract runs from the years of 21 through 26. The prior one was 2017 to 2021.
So that was the one that I was, okay. So for people who retired after me, be cognizant of that, okay? If anyone needs me to, I really tried to think about how to succinctly explain this. If you need me to explain it, you can email me at joan.buravoy@gmail.com. Yeah. You can email-
Joan, that might affect you having to refile your income taxes, state and federal, for those years. Think about it. It's an issue. It's an issue. I'm not saying you will, but it's an issue.
No,
This is
Jay,
so interesting. How
no,
this-
if you got paid in 2021 or whatever, and you paid your taxes on it, then it's covered. I mean, but you just want an adjustment for your, the slips that show that those are the years it affects you.
Right.
You've already paid your taxes on
Yes,
it.
on the lump sum, I paid my
Okay,
tax.
right,
My
right,
accountant
all right.
already, my accountant, that became his part of his income that year, 2020.
Logical thought. Okay, no problem.
Yeah, no. Susan?
No, I have a question for line staff
Oh.
in regular, not managerial. Are you still eligible to have that recalculation and back pay if you've retired after the contract signing?
Well, what we're saying is that they're not doing that.
Well, it's a different question, but
Oh, I'm sorry.
Susan, I can answer your question. If you, let's say we sign a contract and you retired some point during the term of the agreement, but we got to finish the negotiations after you retired, you are entitled to get the back pay for the period that you were still on the job. Then, as Joan was describing, after that amount gets sent to the to NYSERS, and NYSERS recalculates your pension and not only increases your pension, but also sends you money back to when you started collecting your pension. Don't forget, when you first retired, they would give you an estimate of your pension, and then later they catch up and give you the actual amount. It takes a while. But when these kind of things happen, NYSERS is usually on about a 3-year lag, as Joan was sort of pointing out. This is not new. This has been going on now for a while. Maybe a little worse than it used to be, but it's been going on for quite a while. That it takes them a while to reprocess the back pension amounts. I don't know if I'm answering all your questions.
Yeah, you're answering more than I'm asking, but those are other questions I've had, so thank you.
You got it.
And you know what?
But there's also
that
$3,000, contract, a signing bonus that.
If you are out of, if you're not in the title, in the current one, the $3,000 signing bonus, if you're not in the job on the day that we ratified the agreement, you're not entitled to the signing bonus.
Okay, but you are entitled to the time when you were working for that.
With raises, yes, that would cover the period that you're there.
Right. Now, when you mentioned about NYSERS and the preliminary pension that they give you, when I signed up, they told me that sometime during this year, the first year, they would send me paperwork to finalize, my options and this and that. My 1 year is November, so when I didn't get any paperwork by October 1st, I called them, and now I was told that it won't be done until next year, when my actual retirement date will actually trigger the creation of the paperwork which will be sent to me and I'll receive it in 7 to 10 days. And then when they receive it back from me, it'll be either, I think they said 60 to 90 days for them to process it. Now, this is insane. I mean, what gives them the legal right even for the preliminary?
Well, ask Jay, because who's much more up to date on what NICERS is sort of up to. I know the pandemic caused all sorts of disruptions in terms of processing of all of this.
I mean, before yes, it did. And I will tell you though, that I retired before, well, I retired 8 months before the pandemic. So they still had 8 months and it took like a year and a half, you know, I don't understand that either. I don't get it.
Oh, we basically scheduled a schedule. We basically predicted delay based on feedback of members calling in and telling us how long it took. My rule of thumb right now is about 12 months. If you worked for different agencies, they have to collect all the data from all those different agencies. That will add time. But the basic problem is lack of staff and mismanagement at NICERS. What else can you say? You know,
Okay.
if this ship hits an iceberg, you got to blame the captain. You can't blame the guys, you know, shoveling coal in the boilers. So I blame management, and you'll be dead 20 years. They'll still be mailing checks to you because they're still catching up. What can I tell you?
Yeah. No, but what I was told post-pandemic, which was November of 23, was, you know, during this year of 2024, you will get the paperwork. By the first anniversary, I should be caught up and be getting my back pay and my back pension and regular thing. So regular pension, you know, finalized pension. So I'm not buying it. I think it's more of a, you know, time value of money that that the city is keeping.
Yeah.
It's not the city. It's NICERS.
Yeah.
Well, they don't.
It's nice. It's their
You know,
trust fund.
Whoever it is, I mean, I agree with you, Susan. Whoever
Absolutely.
it is, they're keeping, they're holding on to our money as long as possible, you know.
And I don't think they're doing it intentionally. I think they're doing it just inertia. And the fact that they give you an estimate pension is just to get you out the door and have money in the bank so you can pay your rent. And the law says that they have to compute the pension, and they do it when they get around to it. I mean,
Right.
I've discussed it actually with one gentleman who actually works in that section, and he shrugs his shoulders. He said they're doing the best they can. Be advised, Tier 4 is built into a computer program. God help anybody who's still Tier 1 or Tier 2.
Yeah.
I'm convinced they have to go out and hire an accounting firm to figure that one out, because there's nobody left alive who could figure that out.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I'm sorry I have to leave. I have another Zoom meeting.
Enjoy the day, enjoy the weekend.
Thank you.
Okay, so we actually this raised some conversation. Karen, Susan, go ahead. Susan.
Yeah, just to get back to what you were talking about, which was not NICERS, but Social Security. If I understand correctly, and maybe I didn't hear this in what you said, when you get when you retire and there is a contract that is then settled once you've retired, in your case, you were working part of 2019 and part of 2020. So you got a double.
I was working all of 2018 and part of 2019.
Okay, so what you did was get a W-2 that spanned both years. That was the issue. So Social Security is saying they cannot act on it until they have a W-2 for each year, and that H&H, whatever, but for each year that indicates how much you made each of those years with the new pay. So that's the issue, and that H&H doesn't want to do it or seem capable of doing it, I think is probably not even, you know, seems illegal to me. But I think the comptroller or So I'm just saying that if other people didn't fully understand
Yeah, no,
that,
thank you,
I
Susan.
heard that and I realized, oh, wait a minute, that might have also been me. If you span 2 years, make sure that
Right.
the W is just for the year. Otherwise, you have to ask, maybe different agencies are willing to do it and yours just isn't. I don't know. We have to
Right,
find that out.
yeah. But no, I'm definitely going to get in touch with Controller Office and Jamami Williams. Thank you.
Yeah,
now-
Joan, would you let us know what the result is of, when you try it?
Yes, definitely, definitely. I will.
Be aware
Karen?
the current controller is running for mayor, so maybe that might help.
Okay, that's fair.
Maybe.
And actually, he was in our, wasn't he, this is Brad,
Mhm.
he was supporting us in terms of the health insurance, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Karen?
yes, his position was the same as ours, yes.
Right. Karen Mangiello?
Yes, I think it's great that you brought this up, Joan. I actually retired in August of 2019, so I'm in the same situation.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that perhaps if you get a positive response from the controller's office or Jamani Williams, it will trigger a widespread, investigation and reaction. So thank you for bringing it up.
No, thank you. Thank you. And again, I'll keep everyone posted. Eileen?
Hi, I know it's caught of the end, but somebody mentioned mayor, and I just thought we might want to say a few words, or not, about our current mayor and his cronies, and and all the people leaving the city, like who's running the city kind of thing.
Me say something?
Anybody, I think it should be mentioned that it's bizarre, it's disconcerting, and talk about how it's going to, all the things that you're talking about affecting the pensions and all of that. Just it's got to be affecting a lot more.
I mean, personally, I think it's, obviously this is very uncomfortable, disconcerting, and it disturbs me. I think one of his last comments was that, well, this is normal. People, there's an exodus. Yes, there does tend to be an exodus, but this is a quite an extensive exodus. So it's very concerning.
Exodus usually occurs when there's a new mayor.
Exactly. Or even at the time when, let's say, you've reelected the same mayor, but people want to move on. People want to move on, or maybe the mayor themselves doesn't want that a particular person to be no longer, be in the role that they're in. So they make some changes. So this is quite, yes, uncomfortable. Mark, you have
Yes. What I would say is we're going to have to let it play out and see what happens. Jamami, I keep having trouble pronouncing.
Jumani, damn.
The public advocate would become the next mayor if if Adams resigns. But besides that, we should remind everybody to go out and vote in the presidential election.
Yes.
It's very important. And if you have friends out of state, remind them, especially if they're Democrats, remind them to vote for Harris.
And don't forget to vote down ballot too. And there's some propositions, including New York State ERA, Proposition 1, vote yes, please.
Yes, you have, that reminds me, you have to turn the ballot over to vote for that. So especially if you're doing an absentee ballot or early balloting, remember to turn your ballot over and vote yes on Proposition 1.
Does anybody know what are there any other propositions?
There are 5 propositions in New York City. Proposition 1 is the state proposition for the equal rights. The other propositions, I have been told, by reliable sources have been basically shoved in there by the mayoral administration. And none of them are particularly good, and nobody's endorsing them, and nobody's talking about them, and nobody's mentioning them. So look them up online and try to read them and figure out what the heck they're talking about.
Okay.
Probably vote no.
Gladstone Nicholson?
Yeah, thanks. Good afternoon. We're talking about Mayor Adams and this point that happens all the time. You know, the sad thing is, probably different, is that so many of his folks have been indicted. I don't think he has any more wagons to be circled around him. So I think he's done.
Yeah.
I hope I'm wrong, but I think he's toast.
And all his ex-cop cronies are losing their double dip pensions because they can't collect salary and pension if they get fired. So.
Ah, interesting. Okay, no, thank you, Gladstone.
I have something to say. Joan
Sure, please,
Lancaster.
go ahead, Joan.
Yeah, there's the 6 proposal. The first one, yes, is the EOA, but the other one are 5. But as was stated, the mayor is the one who came with that, the other 5. And people are saying it's best to vote no on those things because they're trying to do something nefarious. So the first one is the ERA should be voted yes, and then the other 5 should be no.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Make your own judgment,
Yeah, obviously.
We can't really advocate, but make your own judgment.
Yeah, obviously, we're all gonna have to read it and, preferably, I'm sure we can get our hands on it before, we walk into, we either do an absentee ballot or early voting or walk in, and we should familiarize ourselves with it. Any other questions or comments? Okay, so first off, again, thank you. I think this was, the speaker was fabulous. Upcoming meetings. In November, we're going to have a director of early stage memory loss. This is a woman who works at an organization called Common Point, which is located in Queens. It's a social service agency, and she runs that program. So she will speak to us about early stage memory loss. And in December, potentially we will have, I always call him Lloyd the accountant.
Lloyd Feinberg.
Thank you, Lloyd Feinberg. He always talks to the group, and he had asked if he could talk before the not the next year, 2025, but within 2024 before we file our taxes. And we are looking for presenters on nutrition, on fall prevention, and a few other topics. And I think Susan might have something to say about that.
Yes. I just want to just encourage everyone to, I know we've sent information out requesting ideas from you about what kinds of topics you would like us to find presenters for. But, the truth is there's just a couple of us who do this work and look for presenters and topics and stuff. And I would love it if anybody, no matter where you live or anything, because we're on Zoom, has ideas about things that either you want us to pursue or somebody who you think would be a really great speaker. I would love it if you just contact Joan, joan.boravoy@gmail.com, and just say, hey, I know this great person who would speak for us. And we could tell you the particulars of what you might need to know. But basically, it's like sharing anything you guys know that you think would be of interest to the rest of us. That's my pitch. Thank you.
And just like to add on to that, I'm going to be very, very frank about this, is that we had surveyed, we sent a survey out 2 years ago and got around 70 responses, and it really was helpful. We were able to, that gave us ideas. We did send a survey out. See, I need early stage memory loss.
At the end of last year, June, July.
Thank you. And maybe received 6 or 7 responses. I'm gonna, my take on that's gonna be is that you think we're doing such a good job of finding, speakers. But like Susan said, this is, we sit there, on board meetings, it's Susan, myself, and Judith, she's not on this meeting today, and Colleen, and we just like start thinking about people we know, topics, etc. It was Colleen that, that had attended in Brooklyn a session about fraud. She then linked us to where we got to Greg, who was just wonderful. We really could use some help. I mean, even the woman who did nutrition, she's not she's not gonna be doing it anymore. If someone knows a nutritionist, let me know. I'll reach out to them. Well, first, I would say if you know a nutritionist or anyone else, on any of, reach out to them, say, would you be interested in presenting? And then if they are, then, you let me know, and then then we'll do the legwork for that. But just even finding people for us, identifying people would be very helpful. We really need your help with this. Okay.
For example, last year we had Judith Lovell's wonderful son who did that great presentation for us on our phones, but he's no longer available. So if you know somebody who knows technology and doesn't mind talking to all of us who are not always so swift with technology, that would be great. So just simple stuff.
Right. All right. On that note, and again, my email is joan.burrovoy@gmail.com. There are people here who email me, just to, whatever, pass on certain information or ask me questions. Please, email. Thank you. It was wonderful to see everyone. We will see you in November, again, early stage memory loss, and go vote. Go vote. Take care.
Thank you, Joan, and the board.
Thanks,
Thank
Joan.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much.